Lori, and I'm from the United States, California. And my topic, what I speak about, is one of the most vitally important issues of our age, and that is United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. And as I'll be talking about tomorrow, it is the inventory and control plan. Inventory and control of all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all food, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. And this is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations back in 1992. It's a United Nations plan. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. And so many of us around the world think that, sustainable development, it just sounds so great. Isn't it about recycling and creative reuse and creating energy and food resources for everyone? And the answer is no, it really is not. It's about moving populations into city centers, concentrated city centers, and clearing them out of the rural areas. And globalization is the standardization of all systems. So that includes water, law enforcement, education, energy. All systems have to be brought into harmony in order to control them all. Because when systems don't meet, when they're out of balance or not in sync with one another, they can't be controlled centrally. And the goal of Agenda 21 is one world government and total control from a central unit.
Decade of action. 10 years to transform our world. The Sustainable Development Goals, our shared vision to end poverty, rescue the planet, and build a peaceful world, are gaining global momentum. With just 10 years to go, an ambitious global effort is underway to deliver the 2030 promise by mobilizing more governments, civil society, businesses, and calling on all people to make the global goals their own. Decade of action to deliver the global goals. Today, progress is being made in many places, but overall, action to meet the goals is not yet advancing at the speed or scale required. 2020 needs to usher in a decade of ambitious action to deliver the goals by 2030. The Decade of Action calls for accelerating sustainable solutions to all the world's biggest challenges, ranging from poverty and gender to climate change, inequality, and closing the finance gap. In September 2019, the UN Secretary-General called on all sectors of society to mobilize for a decade of action on 3 levels. Global action to secure greater leadership, more resources, and smarter solutions for the Sustainable Development Goals. Local action embedding the needed transitions in the policies, budgets, institutions, and regulatory frameworks of governments, cities and local authorities. And people action, including by youth, civil society, the media, the private sector, unions, academia, and other stakeholders, to generate an unstoppable movement pushing for the required transformations. The COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on all 17 SDGs has shown that what began as a health crisis has quickly become a human and socio-economic crisis. While the crisis is imperiling progress towards the SDGs, it also makes their achievement all the more urgent and necessary. It is essential that recent gains are protected as much as possible. A transformative recovery from COVID-19 should be pursued, one that addresses the crisis, reduces risks from future potential crises, and relaunch the implementation efforts to deliver the 2030 Agenda and SDGs during the Decade of Action. The Decade of Action will mobilize everyone, everywhere. We will work to create an unstoppable force linked to the global goals. We will identify risks to ensure no one is left behind. This requires each of us to take action, individually and collectively, locally and globally. Demand urgency and ambition. We must be the generation to end extreme poverty, win the race against climate change, and conquer injustice and gender inequality. We will hold leaders to account and point to what is possible when action delivers results. Supercharge ideas to solutions. We will shine a light on solutions that expand access and demonstrate the possibilities of ideas. We will drive sustainable innovation, financial investments and technology, while making space in our communities and cities for young people to lead. Why we are hopeful. The spirit of human endeavor has demonstrated our shared ability to deliver the extraordinary. The 2030 Agenda is our roadmap for the world we all want. The global goals are our best hope for people, for planet, for prosperity, for peace and for partnerships.
Agenda 21. This is the agenda for the 21st century, hence its name. These are from its own documents of various kinds. Agenda 21 involves this: an end to national sovereignty, state planning and management of all land resources, ecosystems, deserts, forests, mountains, oceans and fresh water, agriculture, rural development, biotechnology, and ensuring equity, i.e. equal slavery. People told what their job will be, major restrictions on movement, creation of human settlement zones, get to them as we go along, mass resettlement of people who are forced to vacate land where they currently live, dumbing down education, mass global depopulation in pursuit of all of the above. This is a map of America as desired and projected by the Biosphere Programs and World Heritage Program. And whenever you see diversity or sustainability or Agenda 21, they're just into connecting interchangeable terms. So the red on this map of America is designed to be core reserves and corridors with little to no human use. Can you imagine the numbers of people to be removed to make that possible? Then you've got all the yellow bits, buffer zones, highly regulated use, and normal use are just the green bits. Look at it across America, 300 odd million people. And the idea is to make vast areas of land, ban it from human use and human activity on the basis of saving the environment, when what it is taking it all over for the less than 1%. What they want to do is concentrate the masses in high-rise, ultra tiny boxes where they can be under surveillance 24/7. Now, get the people off the land. And so what they're doing, they're changing the laws and they're making economic changes which make it impossible for those that are not of the elite to stay on the land. And so what they're doing under Agenda 21, and America is the primest example, is they're just not funding rural communities. They're not funding rural schools, they're not mending rural roads to make life impossible, to get people off the land. Now this is a big area where people get scammed because they don't think that is possible, manipulating the weather to create extremes of weather to get people into situations that remove them from the land. But actually Dr. Richard Day was actually a weather manipulator during the Second World War. People say it's not possible. Of course it's possible. It's happening. It goes way back. Even a BBC radio documentary exposed a few years ago that the Lynmouth flood in 1952, which killed people and devastated that village in Devon, was actually created by the RAF, who were doing an operation called Operation Cumulus, also known as Operation Witch Doctor, in which they were putting sulfur into the atmosphere above this, in this area. And actually people before the massive flood say they kind of tasted and smelled sulfur in the air. And what it did was create an enormous rainstorm, which created the flood, which created the Lynmouth disaster. This is 1996, an official US Air Force document. describing the artificial creation of floods, hurricanes, droughts, and earthquakes. And it continues, weather modification will become a part of domestic and international security and can be done unilaterally. It could have offensive or defensive applications and even be used for deterrence purposes. The ability to generate precipitation, fog and storms on Earth or to modify space weather and the production of artificial weather are all part of an integrated set of military technologies. They are manipulating the weather like crazy. This is Agenda 21, human settlement zones. As you saw, it's in their own documents.